Isaiah 44 verse 5 says, "This one will say, I belong to Jehovah, and that one will call himself by the name of Jacob. And another will write upon his hand, belonging to Jehovah." The word Jehovahite means belonging to Jehovah. Every human that truly belongs to Jehovah is a Jehovahite. The Apostle John said in 1 John chapter 5 and verse 1, "The world does not know us, because it has not come to know him, that is God. Those in the world who do not know us will say, if Jehovah was the God of Israel, and the promises were given to the Israelites, the descendants of Abraham, then how can you today say that Jehovah is your God, and the promises in the Bible are for you?" Do they have a point? Can the Jehovahites also call themselves by the name of Jacob, that is Israel? Well, when the religious leaders in Israel felt proud that they were the descendants of Abraham and looked down on the prophet John, he said to them, "Do not presume to say to yourselves, 'We have Abraham as our father,' because I say to you that God is able to raise up children for Abraham from these stones." The stones, which came from the earth, were not descendants of Abraham, but John said that God could make them Abraham's descendants if that became necessary because of the arrogance and pride of the real descendants of Abraham. If the real children of Abraham apostatized from the truth and left Jehovah's words, they could be replaced. John's main work was to glorify Jesus as the special Jehovahite who would lead all Jehovahites in the worship of Jehovah. This is what the Apostle Paul said in Galatians chapter 3 verse 29. "If you belong to Christ, you are really Abraham's seed, heirs with reference to a promise." The promise he was referring to was the promise to Abraham to fill the earth with his descendants. And so the point is, the true Christians who have faith in Jesus Christ and follow him are really the descendants of Abraham through a God-granted adoption, and they replace the fleshly descendants because the nation of Israel was rejected for leaving Jehovah's words and killing his son Jesus. So the true Christians, the Jehovahites, are the descendants of Abraham and can now call themselves Israel. Those in the world who brag that they are the real Israelites and have no shame in deviating from the truth in the Bible in their teachings, and even change the words of the Holy Bible, will be quick to look down on us because they do not know who we are. But 1 John chapter 4 verses 4 to 6 says, "You originate with God, little children, and you have conquered those, because he that is in union with you is greater than he that is in union with the world. They originate with the world, that is why they speak what comes from the world, and the world listens to them. We originate with God. He that gains the knowledge of God listens to us. He that does not originate with God does not listen to us. Sadly, they do not listen to us, but we know who we are. Those who tickle the ears of modern people of the world speak what comes from the world, and the world listens to them, and so their organization increases. But they listen to what comes from the world because they like having their ears tickled. Jehovahites of Empire of Jehovah speak only the truth. That's why the majority do not listen to us, because our message does not come from the world. Some hate us, and we expect opposition. But we will continue speaking the truth, as we have been commanded to do. They told Rehoboam the truth, that he needed to adjust his way of treating his fellow Israelites. But because that king of Israel would not listen to Jehovah's prophets, the nation of Israel was split in two, and the tribes left the house of Judah because they would not listen. Jehovah will act the same today if those who claim to be Christians refuse to listen to Jehovah's prophets when they try to correct them from deviating from the truth. Jehovah's Witnesses say that the joining of the two sticks represents the reunification of the anointed with the other sheep. But when were the anointed and the other sheep, as Jehovah's Witnesses define them, ever separated into two groups? Those that they call the other sheep were always part of the Jehovah's Witness organization, and so they could not be reunited or reunified with the anointed because they were never separated from them. But the Israelites were reunited or reunified because they were first divided because of the apostasy of the royal house of Judah. Only after separation can two groups one day be reunited. You cannot reunite what has never been separated. But God can do this again if they continue to arrogantly brag about themselves and disregard Jehovah's inspired word, the Bible. The Jehovahite seeks the kingdom of God, as Jesus said. The kingdom of God is not just another kingdom. It stretches from one side of the universe to the other side. Ancient Babylon, Assyria, Egypt, Greece, Rome, and the Anglo-American world power all put together would make a kingdom that is nothing in comparison to the kingdom that we seek. God's kingdom is an empire. It is the royal empire of Jehovah, and Jesus Christ sits on the royal throne for his Father. Jesus has already promised the Jehovahites that we will inherit the kingdom prepared for us. Jehovah's empire will rule, and the Jehovahites will share in that rulership. So the Jehovahite knows who he is and what he is seeking in life. It's an empire like no other, and will remove all the mess that human governments have made and bring in a world of peace, happiness, and prosperity. Jehovah will bless his Jehovahites with power and glory if they are loyal to him and his Son, even when put to the test. If we live as genuine Christians and carry out the commands in the Bible, then our place in the kingdom of God is sure. As the world continues to get worse, and its members who have rejected Jehovah hear the future that each Jehovahite has in front of him, their hatred of us will increase. When such bliss and happiness await us, but misery and pain multiply under the rulership of those who love this world, their jealousy will increase against us. They will slander us and say all kinds of malicious words against us. Jesus warned us of this, and we are ready for it. Jehovah's empire is not a trivial thing that is not worthy of a struggle. The Jehovahite does not fear what they can do. We are ready to stand firm. We are not scared of the God-haters, the homosexuals, the feminists, the members of false religions, and the others who oppose us. Jehovah's empire will be completely victorious over its enemies. Who do they think they are, causing trouble for the servants of the Most High God? You mess with us, and it's Jehovah you will answer to. Jehovah is our God. Jehovah is our rock. His empire is invincible, and our future is secure with him. We know who we are, and we are happy to belong to Jehovah. We are now actively bringing in the kingdom by living by its standards, setting an example, and teaching people its way of life. We humbly recognize that we cannot survive spiritually if we stop feeding on the Bible. We must read it regularly. Otherwise, our spiritual hunger will lead to the loss of our identity and our everlasting life. We must seek the empire first in our lives. And if we do, we know our God will be with us, just as he has promised. Each Jehovahite knows that he or she belongs to Jehovah, and that only by living for and slaving for God and his kingdom can we truly love God. Because God is a master, and you cannot love a master that you do not slave for, but will despise that master and will slave for another, just as Jesus said. Every Jehovahite has a place here with Empire of Jehovah. The members area of empireofjehovah.org is a place where each one can find support, comfort, and brotherhood. We will not forsake the gathering of ourselves together or ignore the Bible's instructions on congregation arrangements. We must, like King David, support and promote the public worship and glorification of Jehovah. We warm-heartedly welcome anyone who wants to join us, and we will help anyone who wants to take life's water free and receive everlasting life from the royal throne of our King and his Father, the Almighty, Most High, Supreme God, Jehovah of armies.